I got those kids I got their butts into gear on my bus. I started last week. I did a high school and a middle school bus driver, and it's something I said I'd never do is become a school bus driver of a middle school or a high school, but they were unruly and horrible to me last week, but I got it figured out and laid it to them, and this week they have been just angels. It's been really nice.
Wow.
I could not have done that if I could not have stood in my own power and let them know, hey, I am in charge, and you guys are just going to do it, period.
So that was it. You basically owned your power and drew your boundaries.
Yes.
Excellent. Acknowledged.
Nice.
Anybody else? Any little or big successes? Nico? Nikki? It's not bad enough that I have to do Arlene and Emily, you know.
So I got an email from someone that they had a health coach position available. It was at this company down the street that I originally applied for and chose out of it because I realized I sold out when I first went because it was a wage that was way too low. And they reached back out and said, hey, we have this position open. Would you still be interested? And I said, yes, what's your pay rate? And it met what I was looking for. So I just had an interview with them and then came over here.
Whoa.
Good job.
But then I was thinking about it. That'd be pretty sweet. I can get off work and drive over to Rise. It's 3 minutes from here.
Oh,
That's pretty convenient.
I'm so happy.
So we'll see if I get the job.
Well, right now your energy is saying you will.
Yep, absolutely.
Good job. Okay, last share, Ann.
Yesterday, those of you know, my kiddo went under for the first time, and I actually was brave enough to use some of my own gifts, which I haven't really been brave enough to do with him since he's little. And so I was doing some energy work on him while he was in the hospital, and I had a lot of people praying for him, so that was really powerful for me because I never used to ask for that kind of thing. And not only was he perfectly fine, he was just bouncing off the walls all night long. I really didn't want to have to give him medicine because that's not really where I come from. And he was pain-free. He didn't have to have any medicine, nothing. He's been fine for the 2 days. So.
You want to share about the thing you said today when we met at McDonald's?
Sure. So I was working on some stuff on my plan, and this woman friends me out of nowhere, which happens by law of attraction.
It sure does.
And I reached out to her and said, hey, thanks for the friend request. You know, what inspired you to reach out? And she sends me this message. Basically, I just moved to Utah. I'm looking for my tribe. I was called here because I'm doing some inner child healing work, and I thought that, I'm supposed to be here. And I'm looking for my people, and you just seem like a cool person. So I'm having a conversation with her about Rise and about the work that we do. And Jared's like, hey, there goes Gary. What? Gary was at the place that we were at. So
At McDonald's.
So the boys got to play with Gary with Derek today while I was talking to this girl about this work. So then the spirit brought to me. I didn't actually have to go find her. So
Acknowledge. Seth, or no, Tricia, do me a favor. Make sure that the people that come in that are late, that they get what I'm about to say, because everybody needs to hear what I'm about to say. Okay? So, if anyone is already signed up and is wavering as to whether they really want to do this program, raise your hand. Rebecca, anybody else? Okay. If that's you and you're not raising your hand, you need to take responsibility for getting clear tonight before we come back from the break. Because after the break, and you need to do that with anybody who's willing to facilitate you. I can't tell you why, I can only warn you. Believe me when I say after the break, you do not want to be on the fence. Okay? Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about clearing projections and feedback, advanced communication skills, okay? Now, from time to time during Movement to Mastery, you may notice that occasionally, once in a blue moon, someone in this group does something which might push an emotional button. And you might find yourself getting just a teeny bit triggered or upset. You might even notice yourself having a judgment or two. Although we suspect that this group is probably way too enlightened to go through such things, we thought just in case this occurs, we might prepare you to show you some effective ways dealing with each other on the off chance that this happens. Now, before coming to the physical realm, we asked Grandfather, how will we know when we're off track? And Grandfather replied, we will send you signals. First signals are sent in the spiritual realm. Then they are sent to you in the mental realm through your critical parent and rebellious child. Then they will go down to your emotions. And then, if you don't hear the signals there, then they will become physical. First as jerks in your life, and eventually as a physical disease. If you don't hear it there, we will bring you back here so you can hear it. You've all heard me talk about the man doing impairment dialogue who had throat cancer. And when he asked the throat cancer, why are you doing this to me? He switched chairs, and the throat cancer said, because you have verbally abused everyone you've ever loved, especially your kids. And when he said, I want to live, and the throat cancer said, well, the only way you can do that is if you cleaned it up with your kids. And I mean for real. Otherwise, I'm taking you out of here. And it's fascinating to me that every time I've ever done impairment dialogue with somebody who has a physical disease, a life-threatening disease, it's fascinating to me that the tone of voice of the physical disease is incredibly adamant. It's like, you're going to do this or you're out of here. It's very adamant. And I could tell this guy is not a people kind of person. You know what I mean? So I told him, I said, look, you got to stay in touch with me. Because I can tell you're going to try to say a word or two to your kids and think that's going to do the trick. That's not what the disease was demanding. So please stay in touch with me. Well, after a couple of phone calls, because I wasn't letting him get away with it, he just stopped calling. Within a year, he was dead. So the moment we get off track by doing some now-working behavior like selling out or giving in or going along with wimping out, ripping their face off, we create an audience in our mind being critical. We create a critical parent to signal us. The audience in our own mind only criticizes us when we get off track and need a correction to get back on track. Criticism from others or self is a request for an adjustment, a course correction. So, number one rule, when you become upset with somebody, you have stopped being a gift.
Say that again.
When you are upset with somebody, you have stopped being a gift. If you're not upset with someone and they ask for straight feedback, you're in a position of giving them ruthless compassion, and they can hear it because there's no emotional charge on it. But when you become upset with somebody, you've sold out. You wouldn't be upset unless you sold out, unless you betrayed yourself. That's what your anger, your upset, your judgment is all about. The fact that you betrayed your truth. And in self-betrayal and withholding and judgment, most likely your need to strangle the patchouli out of them could get in the way of you using the most effective skills. So when you want truly clear, empowering feedback, you go to the people who are not upset with you. When you're upset with somebody, go get cleared before you talk to them. We attack only when we're afraid to make a vulnerable request. We attack only when we are afraid to make a vulnerable request. So, when you're upset, you get clear and own your projection. And I know we haven't had that class yet, but when we have that class, then you'll understand the art and science of projections. Now, when you're not upset, you can actually be the gift of feedback and coaching. Okay, pass those down. To the people who were late, I'm going to make this announcement. Is there anybody who was late who already signed a contract, and is wavering as to whether or not they really want to do this program? Raise your hand if that's you. Okay. If that's you and you're afraid to raise your hand, you just want to get clear before the break is over. And I can't tell you why, but I'm just going to warn you, you do not want to be, you want to be clear before the break is over. Okay.
Just one quick question to go back on the signals.
Yes.
They first come spiritual, mental, emotional, then physical. And how do you differentiate mental and emotional?
Mental is thinking, emotional is feelings. As you get more conscious, you'll be conscious of what level it's coming to you. So, look at your handout. How to clear the gunk between you and your team members. Now, with any of you, let's say there's some gunk in the space between me and Jeff, okay? Who put the gunk in the space?
You do.
Me.
Okay.
If a facilitator was asking Jeff who put the gunk in the space, the answer would be Jeff. In other words, if there's gunk in the space between you and anybody, you put it there. Keep that in mind. So, get facilitated, move your emotional energy, do some chair work, scream your irrational gunk out, then own your projections process. If necessary, get third people to facilitate both of you communicating clearly. Some of you can do that with your peers. Some of you in here are pretty good facilitators. You can get one of the people who's decent at facilitating and make sure that both of you really communicate. Okay? You can use the skills from the relationships course, like conversation for getting through or coaching communication, right? You can use those skills when you're in, Later on, you'll learn the feedback clearing process. And actually, I think that's the one that's on the other page. Yep. So we'll get to that in a minute. You can use the coaching communication skills, which you learn in the relationships course. When you're upset with me, I go to you and I say, I really want to hear you, Jeff. Can you please coach? I do want to hear you. Can I coach you on how to say what you're trying to say to me so that I can really hear it? It's really interesting, you know. Upsets happen because no matter what you're saying or doing, I'm hearing an insult. Bottom line, that's it for every upset. You don't ever get upset except that whatever they're doing or saying, you hear as an insult. Wilbur is doing it. Okay? Now the truth is, if I could get the person who's upset to simply ask for what they want at 100%, their upset goes away. They may not even feel like their upset going away, but it goes away anyway. So the great thing about that skill, hey, I really want to hear you. Please tell me what you want to say, and would you be open to letting me coach you on how to say what you're trying to say so I can hear it. And if they're willing to, and they tell you what they're upset with, and then you coach them on how to say it, it handles it for them. Joni?
So what about in a case of emotional abuse? So how would that be my thing if somebody's, you know what I mean?
Somebody's emotionally abusing you.
Right.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
my perception?
Well, you put the gunk in the space. Okay? For example, one way you could be putting the gunk in the space is by tolerating or putting up with their nonsense.
Yeah.
One way you could be putting in the space is by finding ways to dig at them.
Even if it's subconscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. In abusive relationships, you'll see that there's basically the wolf nonsense fits the sheep's nonsense perfectly. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Now, if I'm upset with you, I go to Jeff and I say, Jeff, this is difficult for me. I need your help. Would you please coach me on how to say this? Everybody got it? Those are right out of the relationships course. Now, I want you to get a partner, and I want you to take an upset in your life currently that is a little upset. I don't want you trying to do 500-pounders right now. I need you to have some success. Take an upset in your life that's a little tiny, itsy bitsy teeny weeny upset. And role play this with your partner. All I want both of you to do is say those skills. Okay? Get a partner. Do that now. Go.
I was thinking of today is hard. So what do we do?
So it needs to be an upset with me.
Okay. You try to tame me.
So you say, I do want to hear you. Can I put you on opposite so that I can hear you? So is that
So I do want to communicate. But can I coach you on how to say this so that I can how this works? Maybe I'd like you to say,
what's the best way you can imagine?
I would love for you to say that I appreciate the energy that you have right now, but I'm at a place where I just can't be there with you. position that you're not going to enjoy being. Can we do this again? Actually, let's start from the beginning. Sorry.
So you try.
All right. So. I totally agree. Would you? I do want to hear you. Can I coach you on how to say this so that it works for me? Nikki, the best thing that you can say is that
Why are you on the fence?
you really appreciate my energy always, but at this moment you need to take it down because you're not at the same wavelength, and it would just make you upset, and I don't want that for this right now.
Why is that?
Because you want to coach and coach, you don't know how to say this.
Does that even make sense?
No, it does. Another thing that is like, oh, well, I learned a lot from
Yeah, that's good. I can't
But if I don't feel that way, then now I'm lying to myself just to make you happy. That was weird. That just took me down some interesting paths.
But that's also the story that you created in your That's when I was just saying that right there, there was no manipulation behind it. You know what I mean? Like there was no manipulation. That was actually just like a steady stream.
Yeah, but I'm really good at writing.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm really good at writing. I'm really good at doing it. Writing.
If I'm not mistaken, you're supposed to say this because you're upset. I'm upset with you, right?
We're golden. We're still there.
You have to say it to me because
No, so you're upset with me.
you're right.
Because I entertained you. Okay.
Yeah, that was the mistake. So Nikki, this is difficult for me, and I need your help. What you just said there,
Everybody else is
yeah, how to say that I don't want to take down my energy right now. So tell me I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. I'm feeling everything you're feeling right now. Per usual.
I think we need to do this over again. I think we need to
Let's do this again. This is something easier, like you said you took a dog out. Something easier where like one person, but the thing is, you've never accepted you're wrong. So that's my point. It's hard to do because that's why it's so hard.
No, I want him to be doing this handout right now. Because I just handed out.
I can't weather this. We have to do one where someone is wrong, like someone has to be wrong. So I don't think we
Listen, you have to change your perception of wrong. It's not me.
Okay, someone someone is incorrectly someone has
Did something that didn't work.
something exceptional.
Okay, wrap it up. Okay, questions? Questions? Any questions? Tommy?
Maybe this is a stupid question.
Quiet. Quiet.
There's no such thing as
Sean?
stupid things, Jesse. So I couldn't quite get this, and it wasn't, and I was in the class with someone that's been in, it was their second relationship class. The coaching thing I'm lost on. So I don't understand the confusing paper that's like explaining how to do it, and they couldn't figure it out either. We had somebody come and help us, but it's just, it seems like, you know, we were
On the
doing
skill that's in your
algebra.
paper, tell me what part you don't understand.
Just about all of it.
Well, show me. Tell me the part.
I don't have it.
You have a handout right in front of you, right? Show me.
Yeah, like down, the coaching communication skills. If you are upset with me,
Yes.
I say. You
So,
say.
are you upset with somebody or are they upset with you?
I'm upset with them.
Okay, good. So, if I'm upset with you, I say to them, what's his name? Her name, whatever.
I was upset about a situation.
What's
Does
their
that
name?
work? Stripe.
Stripe is their name.
Cat. Yes.
Okay, good. Stripe, this is difficult for me and I need your help. Will you please coach me on how to say this? So, how can I say this so it works for you? I'm upset with you and I want to tell you something, but I want you to coach me on how to say it.
Stripe's a software, Gary.
It's okay.
I'm listening. I just want to be on.
Are you talking about a software?
No, it's my daughter's cat.
Oh, because I'm frustrated with Stripe.
I need a human being.
Okay. Okay, my daughter's dad. That's a good one.
Okay, what's his name? Or just make up a name.
Okay,
John.
D-man.
Okay, D-Man. Okay. D-Man, I'm upset with you, but I really need your help because I want to say this in a way that works for you. So would you please do me a favor and after I say this, would you please coach me on how to say it? And you're not going to be practicing it with your ex-husband or whatever. You're going to do it with each other for a long time before you take it out in the world. You're going to be saying it to Nico. You're going to be saying it to Sarah. Sarah, I noticed the other day when you did something, I got upset. I got triggered. Will you please coach me on how to say this to you?
Oh, okay.
Get it? Or if she's upset with you, if you can tell she's upset with you, she's giving you dirty looks, you go to her and say, hey, listen, I can tell you're upset with me. I really want to hear what you need to say to me. Can I coach you after you say it so that I can hear it?
Okay, so the coaching isn't, okay. So there's usually a third person before you go to the actual person. No. Do you have the problem with?
I get where you're confused, and I want to help because I was confused, but now I get it.
Oh, good.
So you have to initiate the conversation, whereas, like, if I'm upset, I don't say, I'm upset, I need you to fix it. You would say, this occurred, I'm upset, I would like you to coach me on how to say this so I don't say it in an upset way.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Acknowledge.
I just got it, so.
And I was just going to add to that your thing with Stripe, I would say that definitely would help you own your part in that. Just admitting that, oh, I have a problem with you and I understand it's my problem. So, yeah, that, even though it's a cat, you're not going to get the coach
You
back.
talk to your kitty, you know, daughter's cat.
And the great thing about computers is you can get upset as you want, cuss them out, and they don't care. Great. Okay.
So what we were running up against is
how do you do this with somebody that isn't familiar with this type of idea or this
You are a
form of
long
communication?
way from being able to do that. Don't even go there. You guys are beginners. This is your first day of skiing. You got a long way to go before you can, do the bunny, do the Black Diamond Hill. You know what I mean? Okay? Don't even go there.
We're gonna practice.
You're going to
on
do
each
this
other.
with each other for a long time, and you're going to get good at it. And pretty soon you'll notice you can do it with people in your life. You're going to start with close friends because they're safe. And eventually you'll be able to do it with anybody and everybody. Okay? Thank you. Acknowledge. Okay? Nikki?
My next question is, what if
Hold on, guys. I really need you to stop talking when somebody's sharing. It hurts the space. And remember, my job is to get the space up. Okay? Please don't sabotage the space by whispering when somebody else is talking. Go ahead, Nikki.
So what if you're mutually upset at each other? Because that's where we couldn't figure it out. Because we're like, wait, I'm upset at you, but you're upset at me too. So which approach do we take?
You both go and move your emotional energy. And if you need to get somebody to facilitate you so you're not upset, then you go do that. So that you can come back and one of you can at least be somewhat human. Great.
So in any sorry, I didn't mean to
Go ahead.
cut off. But in any argument, then it's essentially up to you, right? Whoever's let's say everyone's upset, but if you're the one that's admitting that there is an issue with me, right, because it is on me, then I can come out and admit my fault and then take the conversation that way.
Sometimes, depending on how triggered you are. Sometimes you guys shouldn't even get near a communication until you go move your emotional energy. Because otherwise, you're going to think you're being clever and saying it nice and sweet, and the screw you is right under the surface, and they hear it loud and clear.
Gotcha.
You think you're being all smooth and clever, and you're like, well, I'm sorry. And you're not fooling anybody. Believe me, if there's a screw you in your space, they hear it loud and clear.
I'm out. Just walk away at that point.
Okay.
Acknowledge.
Got it.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Quick question.
Yeah.
So if they won't get out of your space, do you just run faster away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just
Run
say,
faster and farther?
you just say, I'm going to go away, and when you calm down, go move your emotional energy if they know how to do that. If they don't, just say, I'll come back when you're hopefully calmed down.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Acknowledge.
I've noticed sometimes that also triggers them, so if you can just own your part and just say, I need an adult timeout. I'm going to go take a timeout.
Yeah. Well, actually, if you're in a relationship, you need to make an agreement. Remember the 3 skills, the magic formula for couples? So amazing. I tell these steps every relationships course, and they really work. This is a guaranteed way to accelerate the intimacy in any relationship. And you know how few couples actually take me up on this? How few people actually apply it? I've had people who were really in love and wanted to make it work. I taught them these 3 steps. They didn't apply it. They lost that relationship. They came back a few years later with another person they really wanted to make it work with. They didn't use the 3 steps. Went away, came back a few years later. You know what I'm saying? I have people who've been with me back and forth for decades. At some point, it would be nice to actually apply the skills. So the magic formula for making any relationship work is take a time out. Make an agreement ahead of time that when one of us can tell the other person's too upset, we're going to take a time out. And we agree ahead of time that we're going to do that. Number 2, move your emotional energy. Pretty soon you'll learn from Lori the art and science of how to do that. In the meantime, just go get in a chair in an empty parking lot or in the garage someplace. Put the person next to you, yell and scream for 5 or 10 minutes and try to get all the junk out of your system. Okay? The third one is use new skills to communicate. And the new skills, at least in this class, are in your hands. Okay. Now, going to the feedback clearing process. By the way, if you went through last year's awakening and you're going to be sourcing a position at this year's awakening, these are the skills you're going to be using when you're up at the awakening. So the three skills are, let's see, who can I use besides Jeff now? Let's see, I'll use Nikki. Nikki, when you do blank, and it's always a behavior. I don't label, like Nikki, when we agreed that we would meet at 6:30 so we could be to the concert by 7, and you didn't get there until 5 to 7, right? What I heard you saying that I don't want to hear is, Gary, I don't care about you, I don't respect you enough to actually be on time, right? What I want to hear instead is, Gary, I respect you, I care about you enough to work harder at being on time. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm simply saying when you do this behavior, what I make up in my crazy head, insult, 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 and that's what I don't want. And what I do want is the opposite of the insult. Y'all got me? Okay? Role play with each other again. Do it with a tiny little upset in your life. Go.
When we left about 2 hours after we were planning on meeting, what I hear you saying is that you didn't care about my time and my interest in some artists playing before
What I hear you
What I want to hear instead is, Zach, I respect you. Sorry that I was late and sort of sabotaged a bit of the night. I didn't do it on purpose. And I'm sorry for that. How much fun?
I'm glad that you and that we had
I got you by sundown tomorrow. Should be about that time.
Yeah, so
really like to make sure that when you
Call it Can't you sit
could be either way.
when you are on your phone and enter the nothing box,
Oh, I said
what I hear you saying that I don't want you that I don't want to hear is you don't have to. the phone is more important than little social media stars and cute girls that I don't have to even care about. And that's what you have to say.
Okay, let's try this.
So what I want to do is I would love to
Ooh, thanks, Bill. That's really helpful.
so I can
But I think that's what you very good at.
Going forward, I'll do a better job of when I'm on my phone, if they're trying to tell me something, that there's a purpose to it, and that as soon as I'm done, I am 100% done.
but that's what we have a lot. Right now, not gonna sign on to it. But even if it doesn't, I just know what else I got.
The message that I hear from them is that I know.
You have two options. You can stay here while I go have an amazing time with you, or two, you can come back.
First off, it makes it so you can have it without
To be like, yeah, I was just.
Sounds like you don't respect the time. I don't want to do that.
I created my first video. I didn't know if there was feedback and would work. So credit to yourself. I didn't know. I thought
Okay, wrap it up.
At 100%. Ask 100%.
Okay. I'll take questions. Any questions about that part? Everybody got it?
Yes, for the first time, I get it. Thank you, Gary.
At all. I've taken that class 4 times already.
Okay, no
Can we
questions?
Can we talk about asking at 100%?
Yeah.
I guess I know when I'm asking at 100% because I feel it and it sort of melts away. I've been vulnerable, and so I can't be hurt. Is that true?
Yeah.
Or is, so how does that benefit the other person?
Well, one of the ways you know you're asking at 100% is because they don't feel like there's only one right answer. They're very clear about the fact that they have a choice. If they feel like you're pressuring or conning or manipulating them non-verbally, verbally, if they feel like there's only one right answer, you're not asking at 100%. And the way it works is that vibrationally, energetically, when you ask at 100%, you close the loop and you get complete. And in the instant that you get complete, they are released and the space opens up for them to be complete. People can actually choose much easier when they're in a space of being complete. Until that moment, they feel pushed and pulled and, they don't feel space. They don't feel like it's easy to be at choice.
How do you allow them a choice when you're asking them 100%? That's
They have no choice.
The first day of the awakening, the first full day of the awakening, there's a game we play called Where Are You Sitting? And it looks like a really simple children's game. but it goes on for a couple of hours. And it doesn't take long before people begin to realize that their whole life is passing before their eyes, because every way in which people make decisions is in the game. Some people, I say, okay, go, and they just sit there waiting for life to happen to them. Some people get up out of their chair and they never even look inside to see where they want to be sitting. They just go. They're running like chickens with their heads cut off. Some people are afraid to ask for what they want or ask at 100%. Some people are afraid to say no. Some people are afraid to say no more than once. Some people are afraid to ask more than once. And typically, at some point, everybody has a chair they want, but one person doesn't, and they keep asking people, and people keep saying no. And then they look at me like, what am I supposed to do now? I'm no help, because I just keep saying, satisfaction only occurs not when you get what you want, but when you ask for what you want at 100%. And eventually, the person who's playing this game, they'll ask somebody 100%, and it doesn't look like anything dramatic. It looks like, I really would love to sit in your chair. Would you please give me your chair? It's just 100%. And the person says, no, thank you. And I say, did you get what you wanted? No. Are you satisfied? And they go, yeah. And they keep doing it. Did you get what you wanted? No. Are you satisfied? Yes. And I love it when the teenagers play the game, because then they, after, a couple weeks after the awakening, they'll come back to me and go, I asked this guy out for a date and he turned me down and I'm satisfied. Acknowledge. If you're asking at 100%, you're being vulnerable. You're being visible. You're asking from your heart. And it's okay if they say no. You could really, 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 really want it, but you only want it if it's true for them. I mean, think about it for a second. Some guy walks up to you and goes, Rebecca, you're the one. I've waited for you my whole life. I'm absolutely in love with you. And you look in your truth and you go, it's interesting. You seem like a really great guy, but you know what? All I want is to be friends. No, you don't understand. I am in love with you. And you look in your truth and you go, I just want to be friends. No, you don't understand. I need you. I gotta have you. And if Rebecca's like most human beings, she'll go, okay,
Not yet.
I love you. Okay. She gives in, she goes along with, she succumbs. She is nice. And I might even believe her and go, I'll buy the lie and go, okay, good, I got what I wanted, right? Now, if I get what I want and she's lying about it, what am I getting?
Nothing. An upset.
A lie.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
There you go. A lot of upsets.
And the thing you got to remember is that Rebecca doesn't get to vote. None of you get to vote on what your truth is. The truth is the truth, and you don't get to vote on what it is. A much bigger part of you is the one who voted, not your little brain. I want to borrow $100. Can you borrow? Well, that's interesting. It doesn't work for me to lend it to you, but yesterday I lent somebody $200. Isn't that interesting? But today my truth says, no, thank you. You don't get to vote. What you do get to do is lie about your truth and then have a lot of fun. It's always fun to lie about what your truth is. Oh, there's some good ride there. Woo.
So in that, what does a person do to directly get to their truth and separate it from their mind and their fear speaking?
That is a great question. That is like a 64,000, actually it's a $1 million question. $1 million question. Okay? First of all, you got to remember that at this stage, most of you are pretty bad at it, so you don't want to give yourself any grief if you find that you're selling out constantly and not even knowing you sold out for a couple of months. You know what I mean? It's just, this is what you're at. You're learning how to do that, okay? Second thing I want to tell you is that you all have a place in your body where you know what the truth is. Now, after my first breakthrough at the Awakening and with Mel Wasserman, I walked up to Mel and I said, Mel, I want to keep this, but you know, how do I know when I'm selling out? Because I'm such a wimp. I'm really good at selling out, right? And he went like this. He poked me there, and he poked me there. He said, for you, Gary, those are the two places. Every time you go to sell out, you lift your eyebrows, and you feel tension in your stomach.
Mm.
He said, listen to those two places, and be careful. Every time someone asks you something, pause, and then look. Right? Now, for me, if anybody asks me anything, and I want to know the truth better than that, I look right there. I found out if I look right there, I know the truth. Doesn't matter what you're asking me for. Ask me for anything. Yes or no. I know the truth. You guys don't know. No. That was how I got to know whether I was selling out or not. But to look and see where my truth is, I had to discover. Now, that's not the same for all of you. Some of you, it's up here. Some of you, it's there. Some of you, it's there. So, you know, down, when you look, eyes look down, you're getting a feeling or a body sensation. When your eyes look side to side, you're talking to yourself. When your eyes look up, you're getting a visual, a picture. You got to learn to know, where do you look to know what the truth is?
Mm.
Vanilla or chocolate? You know, where do you look?
Neapolitan.
Where do you look? Because you all look someplace different, and you got to know where you look to know the truth. Get to know it. You can play the game with little things that don't mean much, so when you get to the big things, you can. And whenever you're in doubt, say no until you know. That's why your first assignment in Movement to Mastery is the green light checklist. Say no to everything for 90 days. Say no thank you until I get my green light checklist. Go to all your friends and family and say, look, for the next 90 days, I'm going to say no to everything you asked me for. This is something we're doing in this great workshop, and I want to practice it. I want to get good at it. I want to know how to put the clutch in so I don't keep reacting and creating lots of messes because I'm not slowing down enough to know what my truth is.
When do we start that? The green light checklist?
Now.
Okay. For the rest of the past week.
Start it tomorrow. Missy? Question?
Yeah, so when you look, are you looking...
Oh, let's acknowledge Nikki. Okay. When you look
for the truth, do you look in your mind in this direction, or do you physically look in this direction?
I physically look in that direction.
Okay.
But I had to train myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to keep noticing that every time I looked there, I would get a good answer. I would know that was the truth.
Understood.
It took a lot of years of trying to figure out.
Now that you say it, I've noticed it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Acknowledge.
For the green light checklist, is there a time that you should be giving, like a minimum time that you should be giving yourself?
Yeah. I would say on the tiniest of items, want to give yourself a minimum of 10 minutes, typically at least an hour, and with anything that's slightly more important, the next day.
Okay.
If you can take that much time. If it's important, that means you got to have time to do some empowerment dialogue, to put the chairs in front of you, let the voices have their say, and see what's really true. Okay? Good. Acknowledge. Elisa.
If we say looking down is feeling body sensation, right to left is...
Thinking. Thoughts.
Yeah, can you repeat those?
Yeah, slowly, please.
When your eyes look down, you got feelings or body sensations. You're accessing feelings or body sensations. When your eyes go side to side, you're talking to yourself.
Okay.
when your eyes go up, you're doing visuals. Does anybody remember whether left or right is future and past?
It depends on the person.
Oh, some people it's
Varies.
left is past and some people right is past. Does it have anything to do with left or right-hander or not?
It can.
Okay,
Yeah.
but not
It's
necessarily.
NLP stuff too, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. Acknowledge. Bonnie.
My ex has been giving me some random about the green light checklist, so I just wanted to clear it up. We have to say no. We can't just say nothing. I'll
Say
get
no
back.
thank you.
We can't just say I'll get back to you.
You can say no thank you, I will get back to you as soon as I check my green light checklist. Did you make an agreement with him before you started doing this that this is an assignment you have and that you'd like his support with it?
Yeah, he had the issue with having to say no.
I don't understand.
So
He
we
had an
have to
issue-
actually say the word no. We can't just say I'll get back to you, right?
You have to say the word no.
Yeah.
You know why?
Not really.
Because it's uncomfortable. And you're all such wimps that scares you.
And that was his issue with it, that it puts
I
people off.
have to say no, and they're not gonna like me, and I'll be the bad guy. Ah! I'm going to die! I remember those days. I remember. You all know the story. You all know the story about when they put a pack of cigarettes in my pocket, and and I hid in the dorm for 3 days, because the assignment was you can't let one cigarette out of your thing, or you're going to go on dishpan for 2 weeks. Dishpan's like 4 hours of cleaning pots and pans, for 80 people in a community, right? So I literally hid in the dorm for 3 days, and then I got hungry. So I made my way and I was in the cafeteria area where they eat, and I had my cigarettes to the wall so that nobody would see them, and somebody spotted them. And when he spotted them, I swear to God, everything went into slow motion. And when he came and went to grab them, he didn't even ask, he just went to grab one. And I went, no thank you, because I couldn't say anything except no thank you. I couldn't say why, no thank you! He looked at me like, you are weird, and he walked away. And I remember thinking, I'm still alive. I didn't die. Somebody over here had a question? Yeah.
So if it's someone that you haven't told yet, like a family member that you don't talk to every day and just haven't told about the assignment, are you allowed to explain the assignment before you say that?
You should not do the green light checklist with anybody you haven't set it up as a prior agreement. You should set up as a prior agreement before you leash it on them.
Okay.
You don't want to unleash it, yeah. You don't want to just spring it on them. You want to tell them ahead of time what's going to happen, and that they're supporting you by supporting you and learning how to do this.
Okay.
If you're really lucky, they'll go, hey, that's a great idea. I want to try it too. Okay, questions only, no shares. Question.
So how do you suggest going about letting everyone in our life know about this, so when someone randomly asks us to do something, they already know in advance?
Send an email to everybody in your life. Put it on Facebook. I don't care. Call them, text them. I'm doing an assignment for a great class, and it's a great assignment. I'm going to do it. I want your support.
So next time you ask me to copy, no.
The first thing I'm going to say is no, thank you. Let me check my green light checklist. Then you look at your green light checklist. You go, 2 minutes later, yeah, I can go. Great.
Or no, I can't go.
Yeah, or no, I can't go. Acknowledge. And Kendra too. Any other questions? Okay, Phil.
I don't get to vote on what my truth is. Kind of makes me sound like a slave. Like a slave to what's like predestined for me or something.
It's not about predestination. It's about the fact that your truth comes from a much bigger place than your conscious mind. When I say you don't get to vote, I mean your conscious mind. Remember the thing I drew on the board a while ago about subconscious and conscious, like that? Conscious is here, subconscious is there, right? It's not even your subconscious. It's a much bigger part than that. It's called your whole self or your total self. Fritz Perls said, Intellect is the whore of intelligence. Intuition is the whole of intelligence. I'm talking about the whole self. Your little brain, your little conscious mind doesn't get to vote on what the truth is. It's your whole self that gets to vote, and it already has voted. Usually when people say, I don't know, I'm thinking about maybe divorce, they made the decision to get divorced 6 months before that. They just didn't know. You know what I mean? Most big decisions you didn't know for 6 months until after you'd already made the decision.
Mind if I add to this?
Yeah.
To explain? So Phil, in the reality of what Gary's speaking to, it's about alignment. So because we're programmed in our culture to be nice a lot of times, and so we do a lot of selling out. We look from our heads, but we don't check into our gut or our heart to tell the total truth of what we want to do or don't do. So then we're making a lot of choices and decisions that's based on part of ourselves, but not the whole of ourselves.
Yeah.
We get in trouble. And then we find ourselves in reaction and acting out, all kinds of fun things. So the reality of what Gary is saying is it's about the whole self so that you can be in alignment with your absolute truth. And that's what you don't get to vote about, because your whole self includes more than your head. And so it's all about, when he says you do it because it's just uncomfortable, what's uncomfortable is actually bucking the system to actually be authentic.
Yeah.
Instead of, in the Matrix. Robot. So there it is.
Thank you. No.
Would you say that's Fritz Perls quote again? Would you repeat the Fritz Perls quote?
Let me do this first. It would be more accurate to say, instead of saying you don't get to vote, it would be more accurate to say the you that you think you are doesn't get to vote. The bigger you gets to vote, because you already voted. Say it again.
The intellect is the whore of what?
Fritz Perls, the founder of Gestalt therapy, said, the intellect is the whore of intelligence. Intuition is the whole of intelligence. Annis?
I just wanted to point out with the idea of your truth, once you make a commitment or an agreement to someone, that then is your truth. That is something you want to uphold integrity in unless you renegotiate that.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up.
Even if you sold out doing it?
Even if you sold out.
Yes. It doesn't matter that you sold out. People like to think, well, I sold out, so I justified it. Matter of fact, I'll tell you another great story from my Sea-Doo days. I went to Mike Allgood, and I said, Michael, I made a really dumb decision. There's this guy that wants me to help him with his 10 storage facilities. And I'm already overworked, and I just said yes, and I you know what I mean? I sold out. And he started laughing, so I knew it was not good news. And he said, Garrett, I bet you're hoping that I'm going to say, don't settle for that, Gare. You go to that guy and say, I'm not putting up with this. I sold out, and I'm going to honor my truth, and too bad, and I'm not going to help you with your test. Right? I bet you're hoping that. Right? And I got this sick look on my face. Yeah. He says, do you want to change your life? Yeah. He said, you know why people don't change? Because they don't ever take the consequences of their behavior. I want you to go back to that guy and say, you know what, I sold out, but I'm going to honor my commitment. And the whole time, you're not getting a lot of sleep and you're helping this guy with the 10 garages, I want you to think about, why do you sell out? Now, I can't even begin to tell you how that moment changed my life. Catapulted me from being on the verge of a nervous breakdown, being the king of wimps, to starting the process of who I am today. That was a hard lesson and a very good lesson. You couldn't even pay me $1 million to turn that clock back and not do that lesson again. Thank you. Acknowledge. Okay. Life is a play. We are the authors of the play. Our lives are the stage of the play. We fill the story with good guys who tell us when we're on track. And we fill the story with bad guys who tell us when we're off track. If you've created someone being critical, then they are simply a physical manifestation of a voice in your head, which has been trying to get your attention ever since you got off track, but you haven't been listening. So you keep manifesting bigger and juicier bad guys to be critical. The audience in our own mind only criticizes us when we get off track and need a correction to be on track. I had a friend of mine visiting last night, and she wanted to give me some feedback. And you could tell she was nervous. This was not going to be an easy conversation. So she gave me the feedback, right? And I wasn't defensive. And I could see her sweetheart message and the love that was driving this tough conversation. And I noticed I wasn't defensive, and I thought about how many years ago it would have been when the same thing she said would have made me defensive. So out of that, what I want to share with you is that the more you become who you are, and the more love and light you fill your life with, the more you realize that it doesn't matter what anybody ever says to you. If it's positive, if it's negative, if it's critical, if it's judgmental, if they're really nasty and mean, they're always saying, I love you. In their own little distorted way. Indirect and distorted way, it's all love. If they're talking, they're saying, I love you. I invite you to get there as soon as possible. It's a much more fun place to hang out. Get a partner and share with your partner what I've just taught you about life being a play. Go.
That he's been the one that's like,
What is the form?
Depending on how strong that might be, depends on
Okay. Okay. See if I can read that. I just like the form because I'm used to reading it. Okay, so these are all they have, and this, the stuff that's blank is what they're missing. You're saying that nobody's done an interview?
No, I don't know who did it. I know a couple people who saw it. I just need
Oh, so I'll tell them before the break, say, go see Seth. Oh, okay, good. Give me the sheet so I can remind myself. She dropped out. Just put her in the back of the file.
I'm the director of this movie. I am the audio, visual editor of this movie. All of the characters in this movie I have crafted and made them out to be a certain way. And that's based on a narrative that I'm telling. Now, the cool thing about this movie is you get to decide during the movie what direction it goes, where it leads to. You get to decide how these characters begin to act, how they affect the main character being yourself, and the entire play itself, or the entire movie itself, which is your life. Whoa.
So yeah, my friend was from out, but it was really funny because I was like,
I didn't think I was going to go to computer.
I don't, I've got other people. So Karen, on the red light
Did you like how I said that?
do we have to go back and
That got me. No, that got me.
or do we still go back like, oh, I did check it?
So I'll acknowledge you for.
If that makes you uncomfortable, that's a better rule. If it doesn't matter one way or the other, then you should worry about it.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
Mm. I don't even really think about it. Just kind of happens.
It sounds so different.
Okay.
My video.
Couple of announcements before I give you a break. Did everybody who's interested in doing trade instead of paying cash get one of these handouts at the last workshop about great income expanding the gift, talking about the different positions like office coordinator, computer pro, bookkeeping, etc., etc. Everybody got one of those who's interested? Because I need you to email me if you want to have that kind of interest.
And I have a question on the trade people. So, Mary is gonna give her post-dated checks today, but she wants to do some trade. How does she write out her post-dated checks?
Okay, I'll say this again. I've said it a couple of times, but I'll say it one last time. Everybody who's interested in trade, what you do is you write two checks. You write one check. Are you in the 295 program? Okay. You write a check for 150. You write a check for 145, so it makes 295. If in January you do enough trade to make up the 145, then we just give you that check back. We cash the 150. You see what I'm saying? Or if it's on a credit card, you have them run the whatever. You know what I mean? You just tell them what to do, and then on the months that you don't do the trade, we cash both checks.
And so who did they tell if it's on a credit card? So you tell them, who's them?
Well, on the contract, it should have the credit card number so the bookkeeper can input it into the system.
So then do they contact the bookkeeper to say this is him?
If there's an issue or a question, yes, they can contact the bookkeeper.
So
Otherwise, they don't need to contact anybody because it's on the contract and we give it to the bookkeeper.
I'm just doing details because I'm all
Yeah.
about certainty.
Yeah.
So if they do their amount of trade that month, then they contact the bookkeeper and you
No, they email me every month
Yeah.
their document that says hours. I
Right.
put in this hour is doing this on this date. Every month they get it in by the end of the month.
Okay,
And every
good.
month I put it in the computer, then I give those documents to the bookkeeper and
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you. That's the part that was missing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Acknowledge. Okay, Jesse,
Can I make an announcement real quick?
depends on what it is.
Super fast.
Well, you need to talk to me about it before you make an announcement. I can't just let anybody make an announcement on anything.
Okay.
So talk to me about it, we'll do it as soon as we get back from the break.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
With the trade, could the hours go to the next month if we hit the 145?
Yes, and if you get more than half of the hours, then what it does is it either goes to the awakening, because you can trade $2,000 off the awakening, or it goes to the end of your bill.
And you need to hear that, to the end of your bill.
Not the
That's
current
important.
month, the end of your bill. You can only, any one particular month, work off half of your payment. Great.
So I did read through those agreements, and it said that $5,000 of the awakening actually has to be paid.
In cash.
So 'cause,
2,000
like,
of it is in trade, because the awakening costs $69.95. So up to $5,000 can be traded off. If you only paid $6,500, you can trade off $1,500 of it. 5,000 of it has to be in cash. Thank you. Okay, another announcement. The next blast off is January. What is it? What's the date? I think the 17th or something. Is it the 17th through the 20th?
16th through the 19th. 16th through the 19th.
16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then the
So, I mentioned this in the last workshop. If I ever do a workshop, which I'm doing all the time, the first thing I do whenever I sign up for a workshop is I look around and see who I want to invite. Because I understand that depending on who's in that workshop, especially if they're people that I know and I respect and they're with me, then I'm going to get a whole lot more out of it. Right? So, who do you want to be in your movement to mastery with you? Like Jesse and Canada don't have a clue right now how much better Mary and Sarah, how much more they're going to get out of the program because a sister is with them. You know, it would take me an hour to explain the details of that, but it really does happen that way. If there's anybody you want to be in this program with you, I would move mountains to get them to attend the next blast off. Get them to sign up right away. Okay? Phil?
You're saying those people that attend the January blast off will be in the same group?
Yes. If they sign up for Movement to Mastery, they'll be with you guys. Yeah. And you guys actually have a huge advantage over the January people. Like, what you're going to be doing between now and January is going to give you a huge advantage. But it won't be too late for them to jump in and, you know, join everything. So, I'm going to target, which means I want you to hold up fingers in a moment for how many people you're going to aim for getting to the January blast off. Okay? And this is a game for you. Let me explain about targeting, just so you get the context of it. One time, I did the game called Targeting, and Carol Stevens, her and her husband got done doing the awakening, and they were just, you know, they loved it. They blew their minds. And I did some targeting for the next event. And I said, okay, hold up your fingers for how many people you're aiming to getting. I said, now hold up your fingers for what you want to count on yourself to get there. And I don't remember, Carol, I think, held up 2 fingers for what she wanted to count on. She already had 1. And on her way to the meeting, she realized, oh, no, I want to get somebody to the guest event, you know, one more person, right? And as she was heading toward her car, she saw Dave McGripplis off in the distance. So she runs over to Dave, a couple doors down. Dave, hey, listen. Any chance you could go with me to this thing tonight? It's really, you know, she tells him. He comes to the guest event. Dave brought 11 people to the awakening. He paid for 11 people to be in the awakening. All of his kids, all of their husbands and wives. You know what I'm saying? If Carol had not given herself a game called Targeting, you know what I mean? That wouldn't have happened. So, it's just a game. Not an expectation. It's just a game.
So, I feel like I have a lot of rescuing behavior, and it kind of feels good to say I'm going to do this for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about inviting anyone because I was time to take care of me. So.
I understand. So, one thing you want to know, Joni, when I sign up for a workshop, why is the first thing I do to invite people I know are going to get there?
Because they'll help you. Yeah.
Because it's for me, and I am one selfish SOB. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my paradigm of selfish is Christ was the most selfish human being that ever lived. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I understand what feels good, and what feels good is to get to higher ground, and I want to get to higher ground, so I'm going to invite the best people I can think of.
The right people, yeah.
The right people.
For me.
It's for me. Thank you. Acknowledged. So, raise your fingers for how many people you want to aim to get to January blast off. For you. That you're aiming for. Good. How many people do you want to count on yourself to have there? Put your fingers up. Good job. Thank you. Acknowledged. Okay, now, one more time, I'm going to warn you. If you signed up, you registered, and you're having second thoughts, or you're not completely, wholeheartedly in, you want to get clear. You want to get facilitated before we come back from the break. Okay? Be sure you do that. When you get back, we'll talk about all of the requirements that are happening for those of you in Movement to Mastery and how you can catapult yourself to have the best year of your life. Okay, and the guests can leave now. Okay? Take a break, 15-minute break.
you, Phil. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All the stuff into that. These courses, she said, you go offer these and if they don't want them, could they take them and give them to her? Don't want to lame on the back.
I'll have, tell them you want to do this.
Good job.
I'm gonna take these two guys for they all do it. Whatever you want to do. We'll put it in. Sure. That's a great idea.
We're just gonna say a love
A love offering. All right.
Okay, cool.
That's a great announcement.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Do you want to leave them in the back?
It doesn't matter. Gary's the associate GA. Actually, have him make it the GA.
Mary,
Give myself
make it up
a
to G, A, and A.
Forgot to make the announcement. I'm in my right brain. I'm in my brain. Oh, okay. Whatever the balance is, divided by 2, did she sign?
As you've seen, couple of days. It's fine.
And also, just so you know, that,
So, divided by 6.5. How many checks, how was it contained, not how much there is?
I'm getting to a place where you know, I can tell you that you're a he gave me direction in a time where I didn't have anything to bring me to right now, to going home, to focusing on this, to being with my parents, like and I think I'll have some I can't tell you, it's too hard to envision where in my mind I need to go because I've done the work I need to here. And I know you would agree with that. There's a big chance it's here. There's a big chance back in California. There's a big chance I find it in Florida. I just need to live with it. Like this. You're kind of mental. You know? I have no idea.
I get stuck on it. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's just like I feel
Plan, do it for yourself and watch. It's obvious.
Quick question.
Where should I do that?
I'm so proud of you. Go talk to Anthony. Give me a squeeze. Look at you. your girlfriend already getting it. Yes, I like that. That's awesome. It's so good.
Little girl.
Oh, honey, I'm so glad so glad you're getting that. Because, are you ready? No, but aren't you? You're a guest, right? Are you, you're not
I have
programmed,
to
right?
wait for someone to be over there.
Oh yeah, because we're taking your concert.
Yeah.
I need to talk to you in a minute. I never come on the freeway, but I did to that concert.
Honestly, literally sit with that for a day.
I did not know it was that bad. Yeah, I was from, I was from Michigan. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was like where it was terrible. And I'm just thinking myself, I had the thought, like it's not to take away. For 2 days while I was getting ready. Yeah, I've been there so many times.
Honestly, there's no way you can.
But this lesson is reaffirming too, it doesn't, no one's doing anything outside of you, it's all here.
That's my baby though.
I get that, but I'm just saying
You can't serve anyone
that bigger level of what it's trying to teach right now.
Say it again.
Okay.
I have to find people that are grounded.
It does not matter any external thing around you that
10 minutes!
makes you feel at home and is it. Because ultimately the only thing this card thing is trying to teach you that lesson.
Check it out to the next level. I just felt bad. I'm like, hey, can you come 20 minutes early and sit there and watch me? Would you be willing to? I need to get some clarification. I'm like trying to like wiggle out of it. You are worth it. That's how much I don't want to
Have my dinner.
No.
Oh, I can sit in that boardroom, right, or like over there.
And I'm like, I just I'm like, can I just sit myself? I know when I'm scattered or when I'm crowded. And he's like, do you really? I'm like, I do. Yes. What? Yeah. That was not. No. And I mean, it is. Yes. No. Yes.
It's so funny. Anyways, I love you. Love you.
Huh? Exactly. So, part of me is like, continue to be with you're going to be like your process of like that's our roles for each other.
And I would just do,
That's a huge role. You're more than Sure. Commission on me every Thursday in theory. But I've also seen that I work really good on my own.
Have you moved your emotional energy lately?
I'm sorry, I was really.
Oh, really? Tell us.
She wants to. Yes. Let's go over there.
Okay.
Right.
That's where it's more like nice.
Yeah, apparently.
No, yes, absolutely. I will not buy that that is a thing that goes in my head. However, I do know how much I also don't know. You know what I mean?
Beautiful, lovely, statuesque. You know what? I just ran into in the scriptures, I'm gonna lick you. I'm gonna lick you. I'm gonna lick you. It's an animal. No, I'm gonna lick you. That's his name.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the message. I'm gonna.
And the Amalekites. Yeah. Is that what it is? Because it looks like I'm gonna lick you.
I like
your explanation. Yeah.
Is it okay if Zach and I drop off his car tonight?
Yeah. I'm gonna lick you.
We were getting stressed about that.
That's what it looks like, right? I'm gonna lick you.
We don't want to mess with it, so we're gonna bring it up.
I was having fun reading this section. I was like, oh, it's slowly. Every time I read it, it's like, oh,
I would never have even thought that because I've just go unless you want me to say hi to you. Audio recording and read it for my whole life.
see, if we were reading together, you would have heard it.
Alright.
That's how I would have read it.
Yeah, I have. Is the house nice? Great Italian stuff. Alright. How are you? I did that over at 10:30, but I shared my thoughts with you. Remember the big thing with you?
5 minutes! Did you come in as a 5-year-old?
No, because I was late.
So that's a great excuse not to say new skill.
Bye.
Because you got cleared and you still came in, right?
I do my 5-year-old only carrying all my stuff.
How do you do your 5-year-old? How does a 5-year-old carry stuff?
I don't know.
Well, that's right.
Okay, so what is it you don't want to hear? I just want to be friends, and then he's talking about like, oh,
They look good with purple on.
turned around and looked there and kind of like,
They got like that. That's pretty.
you know, I was supposed to live by me talking with you here.
That shows it. I mean,
I haven't heard that one.
yeah? That's pretty old. So I got a couple things for you.
So, I'm planning on getting some started just for a while. Right now, we're maybe have another, finalizing.
So Jesse, they used to
No. I'll probably write it out. Not by myself. It's just like that. Because I'm sorry.
When I say how I said it, my accent, my tone, what I was saying,
I mean,
expression, after you weathered outside,
I would potentially argue that statement.
that first picture is out there.
I get it. But I get it. So you as a parent don't babysit.
No, we take care of our
Yeah.
children.
3 minutes! Some parents do
How
babysit.
they actually observe the insane.
Just but yes, I get it.
Or the TV.
That's yeah.
Or the Xbox.
I used to think it's not what they say as much as how they take it, but now that's just
She just said 3 minutes.
because it also depends on how they're
You know, I almost wore like I had it on, I was all dressed, I was like, I'm not gonna wear it. Donnie's gonna be there. I'm not wearing black. Oh, it does. It does, because black does not look good on me.
Say it didn't look good on you.
That's what I received. That's what I received. You don't look good in black. I get it. I'm not saying that you insult me. I'm just saying.
So that's gotta be on the contract. You sign a new contract at the review price, which is 2/3 of the normal price.
Oh, okay.
And you need to put on the contract, if I get more than 60 days behind, I have to redo the program next year.
This feels like more vital than the last time. So, but I
Don't get
have
behind.
it. Yeah. Okay.
A little bit of trouble right before, 6 days before my 39th birthday, and when I went into to do my mug shot, it was like, well, you gotta get access to the recording. I'm like,
Michelle, how much time?
I guess.
How much time?
1 minute. 39 years. This is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
I love your hoodie.
You betcha.
That's so fun.
Right. So stay in touch, you know, talk to me anytime you want to chat about it, okay?
Stop.
Thank you, man, appreciate it.
I'm not gonna do it.
Alright, I'll be in the loop.
No.
Hey,
Zach.
Rob.
Maybe you were just,
You ruined it, you ruined her.
Like setting an agenda is
You ruined it.
listen to them.
That sounded just like a
I did.
Was it the syrup one?
And after you make the announcement,
Because that is exactly what my 5-year-old does. Like my always did. Don't look at me.
So I did a relationship before,
what they are most.
and then I started, I did the
Before I let Seth make an announcement about the stuff that is missing from some of you, I want to make a point that I shared with Zan on the break. When I do manifesting money, at I think the second or third meeting, I'll say, we're going to discover tonight who's going to manifest the money out of the blue and who's going to be in the awakening. And their ears perk up, and I say, and I looked at Zen, and I said, are you going to be in the next awakening? Without any hesitation, she was like, absolutely. I said, did you all hear that? Did you hear the ring of the bell? Now, she didn't have a clue where that money was going to come from, right? And everybody's pretty nervous and terrified about where the heck am I going to get thousands and thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Then I went to Nikki and I said, are you going to be in the awakening? And she was like, I really want to be. I said, nope, doesn't ring the bell. The intention isn't there. Now, she got there by the next meeting, I think it was. And of course, she made it into the awakening. Well, here's what I want you to know. Any of you can look around this room right now. And you can look at the people sitting in the room, and you can look at their facial expression, you can look at their body posture, you can look at their intention. And all of you know what that person is going to get out of Movement to Mastery this year. Just look around the room and ask yourself, where's that person's intention? Where's that person's intention? Where's that person's intention? Because if you let yourself look, you can see. Okay, go ahead, Seth. Come up and do those announcements. Give them the exercise while I print something.
Great. Everybody who has had an interview, raise your hand. Just keep your hands up.
If you've had an interview.
If you have had an interview.
Easy to raise your hand.
Missy, you've had an interview, right?
I don't have my name tag on, but my name is Arlene.
Did you have an interview? Okay.
You still need more support, but you have had an interview, correct?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you want more, that's fine, yeah.
Did you already write my name?
Getting tired.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're gonna have to hold it up.
I know, I'm like, my arm is so worked out and I'm breathing. Not really. It's the tears.
It's from my workout earlier. That's why I was tired.
Really reject. Just practice saying no. No. You don't even hear what they're asking you. I can't do it, Christina. Wait, let me touch it over your leg.
Great. So, go ahead and pair up and share about what you're most excited about that's going to happen this year in Movement to Mastery.
All right, thanks, guys. Your hair looks great.
I feel like we're in a movie.
I know, right?
So, sisters,
Hi.
I thought you were.
To have better self-talk. I'm realizing just how much I am a powerful manifester in like the best of ways. I want to bring like
and I'm so glad because I have a tendency so the huge thing for myself is I'm ready to break I like things.
That's part of my life.
I don't even care if I'm free. I usually have to pay to start. If that makes sense. I mean,
No,
it's like, you know, I mean,
literally exactly. I feel all of that.
I mean, freedom is like, okay, yeah, but, you know, great. This year, I want to be able to just like actually, you know, like be able to handle it.
What if you give yourself permission to dream the best that you can?
That's fine. But it's like, I want.
I'm excited, I'm scared. So I'm excited.
I'm not
I absolutely really think
but I do believe this. Yes. And actually, sometimes if I allow myself to be too big, it feels too unreachable, and then I fear.
I had to start because I know
where if it's like, well, if I could just leave, it's like,
and then
you know, I don't know.
Work so many hours a week, schedule my vacation to where I think when I retire,
Well, I feel like if I can,
I know that the
but it's more for me, and it's more, I wanna take the
then
time off.
everything else.
I'm taking it.
and it's not even just the physical stuff that people have.
It's not.
Amazing.
Beginning to do things.
There's gonna be steps and walks and but it's like, there's something deep that's just got to be.
And just get it done in one day instead of like because I just there went Michael Dave.
Okay, wrap it up.
And then I go to John, what are you doing here? We don't need you. And I'm like, serious? He said, we have to come in for this. You don't need me, and it's only a half a day, and I sign it.
Get me a clipboard. Now, I warned you twice before the break that you don't want to be on the fence. When we get back from the break, is there anybody who is still undecided about the program for this year? Anybody? So if everybody's wholeheartedly in, I'll do a quick role play so you can see what I would have done with somebody. Okay, come and sit down here.
Yay, Ennis.
Does that mean we're a full house? We're a full
Now,
house.
I want you to know, typically there's always somebody, and usually 2 or 3 people, who are on the fence. You know what I mean? Like, gee, I signed up and I signed a contract and I made the agreements and da-da-da, but you know what? gee, I just don't know. Should I really do this? You know, like that. You know what I mean? Question?
How many people are usually moving to mastery? As like, how many were in the graduating class?
It's never the same number. It's like the awakening. Some awakenings are small, some awakenings are big. Like before the economy crash, I think the biggest awakening we had was 48.
Wow.
Okay.
And you're able to still have quality?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 2 phase ones and a phase 2.
They brought both phase ones together.
Yeah.
So Garrett, look at this group.
Yeah.
Not a qualm amongst them.
Yeah.
This is an amazing and powerful group. You guys are so blessed.
Yeah.
So
Even
great.
even in the boardroom when I was doing people's considerations, Tricia was saying, you know, you guys are blessed because my group did all choose in 100%.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
That's rare.
She got it. This year is the year you want to do it. If you want a good group.
I might jump in with a head.
Do it. 8, isn't it 8?
Okay, I got to move on, so let me do this with Ennis, okay? So Ennis, you do I have your permission to be ruthless with you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you signed up, but you're not really sure whether you feel good, wholehearted about diving in at 100%, right?
Yeah, it kind of looks scary. Like,
Yeah.
I want change. I
I
really
got
do.
it. Okay, good. So I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm taking the program away. You don't get to do it this year. You get to wait a year.
Look at his face.
You're like, no.
Now feel that.
That's some reverse psychology right there.
That's why I'm here.
I know. Get after it.
Hilarious.
It hurt.
In years past, when I did this, I could see from the faces of the people in the group that they were pissed. Because they knew I meant it. And that person wasn't going to get to do it for a year. And then I would say, okay, because they would usually say something like, but, you know.
Let's sign a contract.
Yeah, and I would say, why should I let you in it? Why should I let you do it this year? And then they would talk me into it. And then I would say, okay, like a good Zen master, I lied. I had no intention of taking it away from you, but I had to make it real so that you got how precious this opportunity is for all of you. Let's acknowledge Ennis.
It still hurt.
Maybe next year you get to see it for real.
Yeah.
Is that because if we were a kid and you took away our toy, we want that toy more?
A little bit different. What it is that it gets them to see
How much they want it.
how much they want it. Like part of them is nervous, but part of them wants it. So how bad do they want it? And the trouble with being on the fence is that the reason why people's lives look so disastrous is because they live on the fence. They never get beyond their fear enough to dive in.
And
That's bottom line.
What is it you say about when your pain is 1 ounce more?
Yeah, yeah.
Say that again.
When your pain is 1 ounce bigger than your fear, the teeter will totter and you will actually make the change.
So taking it away creates pain.
Okay, question?
Comment?
Okay.
When I signed up for the awakening and then I was uncertain about it, and my husband said, if you do the awakening, I will divorce you. Then I chose in.
That's how badly you want it, girl.
No. And then he said, I didn't mean it. I should have put the ultimatum on you. I'm sorry, but I was still like that moment.
You were chosen in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bonnie's like this. And that's why I am the way I am today.
What would happen if you actually would have seen somebody just walk out the door?
I want you to know that over the years, every time I've done it, and I've done it probably, I don't know what, 20 some odd times, because every year I do that exercise, right? And every year, if I have 3 people raise their hand, I pick the person that I know wants it. They're just letting this crap get in their way. The person who I think would actually walk out the door, I don't call them.
Okay.
Because it's really a demonstration for the group. It's not for that particular person. Now, in my hands, I have a form, Awakening Participant Support Sign Up. Some of you want to be healers. Some of you want to be coaches. Some of you want to be facilitators. Some of you want to make a difference in people's lives. The first line of defense for the awakening is the people in Movement to Mastery who volunteer to be a participant support person. In other words, like, raise your hand if you're signed up in this year's awakening. Raise your hand. Good. Those people are in the awakening. Aren't you in the awakening this year?
Signed up yet.
Oh, you haven't signed up yet, but you're looking at it.
Yes.
Good. So imagine now that, like Mary's in this year's awakening, right? Imagine Mary signed up in this year's awakening, and somewhere between a month and 2 months out, Mary might, you never know, go through some interesting things before the awakening. She may discover there are some ups and downs that occur with the awakening. Her subconscious will start to work her. And her soul will say, we're going to the awakening, we're going to fly. And her Wilbur's going to go, don't do it, you're going to die! And it's amazing how clever people can get in creating amazing circumstances to make sure that they can't do the awakening. Now, if Sarah wanted to make sure that she saw Mary get what she got out of the awakening, and she has a script in front of her for participant support, how much do you think Sarah's going to care about making sure that somebody, either her or someone with even more experience, does their best to make sure Mary's Wilbur doesn't get in her way? Right? That is a huge privilege. Those of you who've been through the awakening, you understand what I'm talking about. Because I know some of you would give just about anything to see your loved ones get there. Right? So, I'm going to pass this around. If you want to be one of the people who's willing to be a participant support, now if you're going to be in this year's awakening, you don't want to fill this out. This is only for the people who've already been through the awakening who are in Movement to Mastery. Okay? Pass that around. If you want to be a participant support, you're the first line of defense. If you can't help them and they can't move them past it, you pass them up, and me or Lori or somebody with more experience will take care of them.
Can I make my announcement now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So my mom loves to go hard on her hobbies, and she got really into knitting, and she just knit a bunch of stuff. So, and then she gave it to us and said, do whatever you want with it. So Kendra and I started her Awakening Fund. We have the knit goods back there on the couch, and we're just taking love offerings. So even if something calls to you, $3 will help us get the ball rolling. Whatever. Or 300. Or 400. Whatever calls to you. So just it's back there. We appreciate it.
Help Kendra get to deal with.
All those things on the couch?
All right.
Nice.
Oh,
No. There's a right and a wrong way, Gary.
I want to shop. Are we having a break right now or what?
Oh, they are.
Thank you, Gary.
So now, can't look that way. I don't want to start a stampede. Okay, Zen.
Is this in addition to sourcing and opinions or a position?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Now, I want to remind you that after the January blast-off, we're going to pick a team leader, and I want to let you know what the small group captain is going to do, okay? They are responsible for the well-being of your group. Over the years, I've had some pretty amazing well-being captains, like Kevin Millay and last year it was Justin, and they best are responsible for the well-being of the group by supporting people in keeping their agreements and fulfilling their requirements. Reporting to the team leader the weekly report on the phone system. So for example, this year Seth is the logistics captain. So when you guys have your phoning system going, and I'll explain that to you later, when you have your phoning system going, basically you and your phone buddy are going to make a call every week, okay? And you're going to be checking on this handout that I'm going to give you called the weekly checklist form, okay? So let's say Mary and Sarah are phone buddies, or who's your phone buddy? Sarah. So then they're going to talk to each other every week, and then on a certain night, maybe like Sunday night, they're going to call the small group captain, who will then call Seth, and every week Seth's going to get a report from the small group leader, who's going to say, Mary called in for Sarah, and then Lisa called in for Nico, but Jeff couldn't get Arlene to get on the phone with her, so Arlene is missing a phone call with her phone buddy. What that says to us is man overboard. If Arlene didn't make a call, the first sign that people are in their crap and letting their stuff get the best of them is the fact that they are not keeping their agreements. That's our thermometer. That tells us somebody's in trouble. Get them a life raft right now. You know what I'm saying? Good. So this person, the team captain, is the person who's basically most in charge of making sure everybody's doing what's needed so everybody is supported. Okay? Now I'm going to pass these around. You can look at these. That's the form you're going to use when you call your phone buddy for 5 or 10 minutes.
Are we
Emily.
starting that now or after the January meeting?
You're going to start it now.
Now, with
Yes.
our weekly phone calls.
Yes.
And then are we voting on small group captains?
Nope,
or the
that's
team
after
leaders?
January.
But do we vote within our groups or the team leaders appoint it?
What you're going to do is, after we have January's people in this room, I'm going to take nominations. I'll put their names on the board, and then you will vote with your eyes closed. We'll take a tally of who gets the most votes. The one with the most votes is the team captain for the whole team. The person who gets the next most votes, and the next most votes, and the next most votes will be the small group leaders. Does that make sense? Then each small group will vote for their co-captain. So they can, if they're absent, somebody else can step in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I want everything, and I want it for everyone, and I want it now.
That's good, except I want you to do it louder. Stand up and do it louder.
I want
Arms,
everything,
yes.
and I want it for everyone, and I want it now.
Good job.
Way to go, Veruca!
She interrupted me. Now, on the back of that handout is something called Stars Are for Big Kids. Something I want you to know, I'll come back to it. Something I want you to know is something I learned from somebody who rose to where she was actually leading this group. She was actually facilitating this group. Her name is Dixie Pond. Some of you might remember her, okay? Now, when Dixie did 30 Days to Peak Performance, she discovered that she put a big poster on the wall with the things she wanted to do while she was in 30 Days to Peak Performance. And every time she did one of those things, she put a star by it. And the stars really motivated her. Because why do you think they do that with kids in school? Put star, because it motivates us. I got another star. I'm a star. Well, turns out stars are for big kids too. So that form is provided so you can buy some stars, put some stars, or redo the form, make it a big poster, whatever. I'm just showing you another way to support yourself. Oh, and Seth made an announcement about what was missing for the checks and all that stuff. Did he do that with you?
I don't think so. All he did was got a check of who had their interviews.
Who had their interview?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want you to know.
He came around and did the
checks too.
If you're missing any of this stuff, if you don't have a buddy, if you haven't been given, old ways, new skills. I got people I can get some new skills
Yes.
to. Okay, game plan, consequences, small, medium, large. You're supposed to turn those in tonight. Your small, medium, and large consequences.
On a separate piece of paper?
Huh?
On a
Separate piece of paper, so we can not only make a copy for everybody, but we can also get it to Seth and
Okay.
Michelle and the people, the coaches, so they can support you. Okay?
Can we, email it?
Yeah, you can email it, but you want to email it to Seth. Michelle, do you want a copy too?
Yes.
Okay, then I want you to put you and Seth's emails up on that small board.
Okay.
And then include my email so they courtesy copy me.
And just to let everybody know, there's a couple that didn't get invited. I think Seth's gonna do the invite on the ones that didn't get invited, but there is a Movement to Mastery 2019 Facebook group. If there are videos that are being recorded and you need to watch one live or watch one that was recorded, it will be in there.
And we're doing tonight for Shelley, the one who's out of state. Thank you, appreciate it.
Tiffany.
And Tiffany Bach.
Yeah, she won't get it until
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay, who needs a new skill from me? I'll give it to you right now. Elisa, you're going to get yours from Lori. If you did her interview. She did your interview?
Yeah, but I want one from you too.
I'll do these guys. You're a reviewer. I don't do reviewers in front of the group. Okay, Rebecca, you have a new skill. What's your dream and what's your old ways? Johnny, you got an interview already, right?
I haven't this time. I did last.
Okay.
One now again.
Reviewers either get one from their peers, or you pay somebody like the donation people or Lori or whoever.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, my dream is to, make a good living doing what I love to do.
Great. Terrific. That's a dream I can really get behind. Now, what's your old ways?
My old ways are hiding out, not reaching out to people out of fear that I won't know what to say to enroll them, to get them to commit to their own healing.
Right.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. You can either wait until we do the evening in enrollment, where I do an enrollment breakthrough in front of the room, and then after that, you can schedule one with me or some of the other facilitators so you can have an enrollment breakthrough, okay? And between now and then, or you can do it before that, I'm just saying, we do that early on in the program. I think it's in February or something. So you can do then, or you can do it scheduled with me anytime, okay? Between now and then, what I want you to do is I want you to do this twice a night, once before the break, once after the break, okay? I want you to go up to anybody in the group that you feel safe with, and I want you to, let's say you're going up to Missy Sue. I'm going to do this, okay? I want you to go, POW! With a big smile. And you go, you really love me. You want to hug me. You got it?
That'd be Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock.
Is that who? Sandra Bullock? Okay.
That's from the movie that Sandra Bullock was in. Okay?
All right.
Good. Now, I'm going to do a blanket new skill for some of you. I'm going to look around and see who needs this one, that one. Okay, so Rebecca, you're going to be doing this. Kevin, you're going to be doing this. Mary and Sarah, I think I've already given you this one, Sarah. Jeff, going to be doing this. Kendra. The people I just named, every time you share anything in the group, you're going to be saying it this loud. Now, everybody that I just named, I want you to give me 3 sentences that loud. Go. Go!
We got a good boy.
You really love me? You want to hug me? Pow!
Good job.
Double
Do we have a
skills.
phone then?
Yeah.
Acknowledge them. Let me just ask you a question. Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Better.
Okay. Who else needed a new skill? Mary. Dream in old ways.
My dream is to love myself. My old ways is I go away and hide out. I put up with people's crap. I justify and explain their behavior. And I don't need friends. I'm fine on my own.
What I love about those old ways, because all of your old ways are exactly the opposite of who you really are.
Yeah.
Right? Just the opposite. Right? Like if hiding out and I don't need you, like she loves people more than anybody. She loves to be engaged with people. She loves the intense connection. You know what I mean? That's just who her soul is. Okay? So here's what you're going to do twice a meeting. Okay? You're going to go like this. Get off my back! Woo!
Whoa. To everybody?
Yeah, to the group.
Why do we need
Okay, that's the first part. That's stage one. Okay. Then stage two new skill would basically be you're gonna go to different people either before or on the break and thing, okay? And you're gonna share whatever it is that is real, authentic, and vulnerable. See, I can tell I did good because of her facial expression. You see her facial expression? The way she looked like, oh, shit. Acknowledge. Who else? Who else didn't get a new skill yet? Nico. Okay, what's the dream?
My dream is to get my business in place and producing money.
Good.
ASAP.
Yes.
Now.
And what's the old ways?
My old ways, I would think about it for the past 3 years. I would talk about it. I would dream in my head. I stopped talking about it after the first few months. I never followed through with any of the paperwork. In fact, I didn't renew my license and let it lapse twice until today.
Okay.
I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah, I got it. I'm going to give her a new skill. I'm going to give her a couple of new skills, and then I'm going to give a blanket new skill because there's several of you that really need this new skill. The first one is about being centered. Okay? One of your great strengths is that you have a lot of access to emotion and you run a lot of energy. That's a great gift, especially for healers, facilitators, people who can inspire and influence people. Okay? It's a great gift all the way around. One of the pitfalls of that particular gift is that people who have a lot of access to emotion tend to think that emotion is decision, and they're so uncentered that they're all over the map and they're solid, and so when they get nervous or afraid of doing something, they just get really busy doing all kinds of stuff other than the thing they need to do.
My energy goes pew, pew.
That's
pew.
it. That's it. That's the old way. Pew, pew. That's it. I couldn't have said it better. So the first one is to get centered. And I can't tell you how invaluable that skill is. I know because I used to be, my college roommates before I moved into Cedar thought I was on speed because I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off just, okay? So, a couple of new skills. You want to make some notes. Ready?
You don't think I can retain this? Just kidding. I have to write it down. Okay.
As uncentered as you are, it can be out of your head within 5 seconds.
Oh, really? You tell me I'm uncentered?
Okay, now, Have you ever meditated?
all the time.
What
But
style
not
of
consistently every day, and you'll be
what
able
style of meditation?
I do yoga, and I have to look at myself in the mirror to be able to make sure that I'm actually functioning the correct way that I want to, and then I can.
Do you
breathe
do
in.
any formal meditation?
Formal?
Yeah, like meditating, sitting down in a spot, watching your breath. Whatever. One of those styles of meditation.
Crystals, rocks,
No,
breathing.
that ain't
That's
meditation.
about it.
Okay, I want you to get an app and find some form of meditation that you.
Grounding, centering, I do that.
That is not meditation.
Okay.
Find an app that you love that style of meditation, and I want you to start doing it daily.
Well, explain to me what meditation is then,
Just
'cause I guess
Google
I
it.
just don't know.
Don't worry, Google
Okay,
it.
fine,
And there are
Google
lots of people in this room that can tell you a good app that they like that helps them
Okay.
meditate. There are ones that have visualizations attached to them, okay? But I need to get you, I'm going to point out to a bunch of other people that need this too. Certainly Zen does, Jesse does, Elisa does, Rebecca does, Emily does. You guys need to be grounded. You need to be centered. You need to be in your body. You need to be present. You need to be connected. Okay? And you need to do this sooner than later. A lot of when your life is in the toilet is because you're bouncing off your energy so often that you don't know how to manage the moment of choice. I need to get you in your body. So, meditation, okay? And then a grounding exercise. Before every visualization, I have you take a color of light. You want to do that every day. On top of the meditation, okay? Every time Lori does a connected breath workshop, do it. That'll get you more in your body. Okay? That's the first new skill. Second new skill is, those three things are the first new skill.
Okay, you're giving me another skill on top of this.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'll show you how to do it. Okay? Twice every meeting, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be standing around with somebody and you're going to do this. You're going to go. You're going to jump. You're going to learn. You're going to teach your body that when you get scared or nervous about the next thing you need to do, instead of thinking, you're going to jump. You're going to do something. You're going to do it. Okay? After you jump, you're going to brag to somebody about the thing that you did. I took action. I went down to the thing and I got my license. Woohoo! Got it?
Okay.
You're going to jump and brag about what you did. Okay?
Anything, however small.
Whatever,
is that
however
day.
small.
Okay.
You're going to start teaching your body that it likes getting things done.
Okay.
Acknowledge.
Mary, I just wanted to point out the second part of yours, the more vulnerable and authentic that it is that you share, the more impactful it's going to be to you.
Talking to Nico or Mary?
Mary. And then for Jesse and Kendra, on your awakening donations, this goes for everybody. There is a link set up on the website that is awakening donations. They can go on, they can donate with a credit card, but they just put your name there and that will go towards your awakening.
Awesome. And what's the,
It's on the website.
okay.
Just at the top of the website, it says awakening donations.
Zen.
First, my question is on the Awakening Participant Sport. Is that for one person, or do we have to be that for a bunch of people?
Odds are we'll have you start with one person and see how you do and then give you more if you want to and it's needed.
Can I check in with my green light checklist first?
Yep.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
And my other question is, Lori wanted me to have you go over my new skills because they felt a little.
Okay.
And
That's fine.
do you want to do it here and now, or?
It's fine.
So,
Hold on a second. I want to make sure that Nico's complete.
Yes.
You got those?
skill 1, 3 steps, and skill 2, my jump and
Brag about what
bragging.
you did. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Acknowledge her. Okay. Who else needed a new skill besides those 3? No, you got.
No, I just did her interview.
Oh, you
the
just
other
did her
day.
interview. Okay, good. Let me do her first. I'll come back to Zen.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's your dream and your old way?
My dream is financial freedom by creating a new work paradigm, so I can be the contribution I came to be.
Beautiful. Good way to say it. Okay, what's the old ways?
Old ways are rebel, make people feel bad and guilty if they don't pay attention to me, shut down, hide out, criticize, blame, shame others and myself.
I assume you gave her some hints about things to do to love herself.
Oh yeah.
Give me some examples.
Of
What Lori gave you to love yourself.
So we are going to do
Some here.
strength showers. Oh, not these. The game
Oh,
plan.
you can say some of those, yeah.
Strength showers for my little girl.
So she's working on getting connected again with that innocence.
Other new skills or tasks: Ho'oponopono, empowerment dialogue, peer processing.
Okay.
This is what I wrote.
Yeah, and what's over here?
So I'm going to engage in movies, books, or people where they're trailblazers who've innovated the new paradigm by blending what they came here spiritually to do and actually doing it in the world. So I'm going to get acquainted with people like that.
I got it. When you slip into blame and making people guilty, matter of fact, it would really support you to daily, not long after you wake up, sometime in the morning, like, not long after you wake up, to think about anybody that you're judging, blaming, etc., and do Ho'oponopono with them. See if you can shift your energy. Nikki, that comes from your mom paying attention to you when you were in drama.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time it looks like it might not work, it might not go the way I want it, then you're tempted to go back into that place and you're not conscious of it. Like you don't even know you're doing it. You're just all of a sudden in a lot of drama and getting a lot of attention for the drama. You know what I mean? Which then makes you self-critical because you keep talking to yourself about how you're not doing it. You're not there yet. You're not going to make it happen. Like when is it going to be different? And when am I going to succeed? And, then you do this stuff, So you need to do the Ho'oponopono with people you're blaming, and you need to get attention for your wins. Every little tiny win, you need to get attention for it. So, twice a meeting, okay? You're going to jump up. You're going to do like this, okay? Pow! And then you're going to say, I, and then a win. Whatever. I don't care how little, how big. Okay? We've got to make the teeter-totter from fear kicking off the blame, shame, guilt, attention to attention for winning and not quitting. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
Acknowledge.
Okay, so basically the new skill that you gave Zen was when she gets to a certain point of backing out, that Trent was to support her to recognize that she was hitting that wall. And basically how she was hearing it was shutting her down, and it was actually causing like a rift between them. So I was suggesting that instead of focusing on when she goes to that extreme place of upset, because I was watching her and it goes, I tracked it back. So it starts with the acting out, it goes back to the trigger, but it goes back to a really tender, tiny little place where she's terrified.
Right.
So tell him what I gave you to see if he agrees with
I
that.
want to hear the detail of the new skill I did give her.
Okay, so the detail, tell him what you
So
wrote
you told
down.
me to do a no pass zone when I get triggered to have a consequence that I absolutely can't do no matter what, and that just terrified me because then that's almost like guaranteed I'm gonna do it again. And then the other thing was you told me to tell people everything that's wrong and exaggerate it.
So she focuses and fixates on the negative, and so I was turning it around to a more positive focus
No,
instead.
I don't want, no, I want her
Okay,
to
you
do the
did that
negative
specifically.
first.
All right.
So she gets it. I mean, I want to get to the positive as soon as she gets beyond
get it.
this. But the reason why you're walking up to people and saying, you know, that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong, so that you can, as soon as possible, get it that nothing is wrong. Certainly not you. But the only way you can do that is to blow out the energy. Is to start, you know, going up to people and saying, oh, see that bottle, that's wrong. See your shoes, that's wrong. See my belt, that's wrong. It's only going to take a few weeks. You just gotta get it that this is nonsense, making everything wrong. And then we can go to the positive.
Got it. I get
Whatever
it.
skill you were looking at,
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
be a
that's
good
perfect.
positive.
And the consequence for
For the you and
Trent.
Trent. So what you're wanting to stop and have a no exits game on is the blowing up, all that stuff. So all you got to do is say, oh, I'm starting to get really irritated here. I'm going to take a time out. Okay? So that time out is why you want a big consequence if you don't take a time out.
Okay.
If you let yourself get into a big fight, that's when you want a consequence.
Okay. So
And if
that
you want to,
actually
you can
explains
build
it.
up. You can do a small, a medium, and then a large, you know, whatever. You can set it up. The point is, you want to make it so that some part of your brain knows that is a no pass.
Thank you. That explains it a lot better.
I can act out in the garage. I can act out by chopping wood. I can act out in a lot of ways, but not with my husband. Okay, acknowledge.
Thank you.
Question?
Can I add one more thing on that?
Yeah.
So when I was doing your interview, Trent was in the room, and I had her really connecting with him in her innocence. And since then, he finally saw her little girl. So now when she goes to that really terrified place,
Yes.
he doesn't come down on her. He actually supports her now.
Yes.
He actually reassures
Good.
her that she doesn't have to be afraid.
Good.
Just from that little connection there. It was amazing.
Okay, here's a new skill you can give to Trent. Okay? When he sees that you're starting to spiral, he needs to touch you either on the shoulder or the elbow, wherever you say it's best, and say, what scared you, honey?
There you go. That's what was missing here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Emily.
I just have a question about mine. Would you prefer me to
No,
ask you?
I'm not going to do any more new skills. I got to move on. You want to talk to somebody, talk to one of the coaches, or talk to me afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, now, did I pass out the dress code? Good. Now, I know that you haven't taken Pinnacle of Presentation yet, or some of you have, but some of you have not. And I don't expect you to buy into the dress code immediately right away. I want you to know that one day when I was in CEDU, I was crying about how I went to a dance and I got rejected and the feelings I had about being rejected. And when I got done crying, Mike Allgood said, "Do you feel better now?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "Good, I'm gonna give you some truth about partially why you got rejected, right?" And then he started going down my clothes, started with my shoes, and then he went down every piece of my clothes, and he was saying things like, "You look like you just walked through garbage cans." You know what I mean? And I had never seen myself until he was pointing out all the things that were really not working with the way I dress. Okay? Now, it turns out that when people come to an experiential workshop, part of the reason why they need so much safety is because subconsciously they're afraid they're going to find out that something is wrong with them, that their deepest fear is true. That's why they avoid experiential workshops. You say, how was that movie? They go, I'm in. I'm going to go see that movie. You say, how was that workshop? They go, it's so valuable. Valuable means I could find out there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? So that's why the dress code was designed to communicate enough professionalism that they would feel subconsciously safe. And I want you to know I've gotten this from several different teams of experts over many decades. This is not haphazard. Okay? So, you don't need the dress code when you come to these meetings. You only need the dress code when you're assisting at workshops. When you are in a position where they come to a relationships course and they see the people who are assisting and they think, oh, that person's one of the leaders. You need to be in that dress code. Everybody got it? Great. Moving right along. Did anybody look at the email? Oh, question, Jeff?
I need a bigger binder. Do you have extra binders?
Oh.
All these handouts.
Michelle asked Tricia, go find the purple binders, and if there's a box back there that has a bunch of purple binders in it. Okay? Everybody who has not done the awakening yet or movement to mastery last year is going to get a purple binder. Okay. See the purple binder she has? Hey, where'd you get it?
Off the shelf.
You just grabbed a spare binder?
I was all that I could because I asked for one.
I got it.
Yeah, girl.
Okay, say that louder.
She's getting what she wants.
I just got it off the shelf.
Louder.
I grabbed it off the shelf.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody told me I could.
And somebody told me that I could.
No, I want the whole box. I want everybody to have one who doesn't have one.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, that's going to be for your moving to mastery, for your awakening, all that stuff. Okay.
Mine's kind of falling apart. At what point of falling apartness can I request a new one?
You can pay for a new one whenever you want. You know, I'll have to look up and see what it costs. I think it's $10, but I don't remember.
All right.
How many of you received the email that I sent, I think it was yesterday, that had an attachment called Top 10 Ways to Sabotage Your Movement to Mastery? Good. Who remembers what's the number one way that people sabotage their movement to mastery? Anybody read the document?
Yes, I just read it.
What was the number one way?
Stop making my face.
Not reading the document.
Good guess.
Not checking your email.
That's probably it.
By the way, does everybody know that you have an agreement to check your emails before every movement to mastery meeting?
And make sure they're not blocked.
And make sure they're not blocked? Right. Hey, as soon as you can find that box, I need to give them their oh, it's way up on top. Anybody happen to have a step ladder?
Oh, Phil.
Phil, see if you can help them out.
Phil.
Phil, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. Good thing they didn't call Gary, huh?
Why didn't I get that high?
Oh my gosh, I seriously just read it.
No apply for Ennis?
Go purple.
Who wants dark and who wants light?
I want dark.
Light.
I want dark.
Can you remember all that?
Sorry, that's kind of dark. Who wants dark?
Well, we should let the, we only got 3.
I got 3.
Who needs a
Oh,
light?
So beautiful.
Well, lavender, dark,
Yes.
Rebecca, did you want a light one or a dark one?
I wanted a dark one.
Sorry.
I wanted a dark one. Oh, well. Yay.
Why didn't you raise your hand when I
See if
said
there's
what's
more
going on?
dark.
Are they all gone?
Yeah, that was it.
Do we order more then?
What?
Do we order more?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
But as long as we've got them, we can give them out.
If you haven't done the awakening yet, let whoever's producing the awakening know that you have your binder already, and they'll get you the stuff to put in your binder for the awakening.
What if they want to substitute it for a dark one? Well, they're gonna have to order.
Check with us later.
Yeah. So take really good care of those light binders so that when they get the new order of dark ones, you can exchange it.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Do me a favor, Lori. Don't make announcements like that until you check with me.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
Phil.
We get Seth's phone number and Michelle's email and Seth's email.
Put them on that board, Michelle.
And what specifically are we emailing them again?
Your small, medium, and large consequences and rewards. And you're supposed to turn it in tonight, your pre-excused absences. I know I got one from Sean, but if you haven't turned in your pre-excused absences tonight, you need to do that before you leave. You can turn them in to Tricia, she'll give it to Michelle, who'll give it to Seth. So, I'm going to continue with what I was saying. The number one way to sabotage your program, nobody guesses it?
Break your agreement with money.
Money.
I looked at my email.
Oh, yeah. I knew money.
Money.
I couldn't remember.
Many years ago, one of my right-hand people and I were looking through the list of people who had dropped out of a program, and we thought, wait a minute, that person was so into it. And that person was really into it. And that person was really into it. And then we suddenly made the connection that the one thing they all had in common is that they sabotaged their money and they were out of integrity on money.
Oh, wow.
What happens when you're out of integrity on a broken agreement? One of the things you have to do, one of the 7 things you have to do is you have to avoid the person you're out of integrity with. You got it?
Yep.
So the people who paid up front really have no idea how much of a big favor they did themselves by paying up front. You know what I mean? Because you just eliminated sabotaging your program by money. Okay? Now, everybody who is not paid in full can play this game with me. If you pay in full, you don't have to play this game. If I offered you $250,000 to make sure that you stayed in integrity with your money until your program was paid off, could you do it?
Yes.
Kevin? Could? Okay. Nico?
Yes.
Could you? Good. So, Jesse, what would happen if your water heater breaks down? Because it's worth $250,000.
Kevin's water heater, not mine.
Showers.
Your car.
Okay, my car breaks down. I would probably go to mom and dad and ask for a loan.
If it's worth $250,000, the point is you will do whatever it takes. You won't call up Gary and go, Gary, my car broke down. I'm so sorry. I can't make this month's payment. No. You would do whatever it takes. Everybody with me? Because your intention is high enough. If it was worth $250,000, believe me, you would do some amazing stuff. When people want to get to the awakening, it's amazing how much they do creative, amazing, wonderful things and create the money out of the blue. This is really interesting. How do I know if you're willing to create the money and go beyond your scarcity issues?
You do it.
One simple question. Have you ever washed dishes in order to pay your bills? Have you ever been willing to do whatever it takes in order to attain your dream or maintain your integrity? You know how many stories there are of famous actors who washed dishes or whatever until they got the right audition to get their dream? When I was in college, when I was in grad school, Trade Tech had some kind of budget problem and they had to let me go. And I was like, well, I'm a great counselor. I'll find a job. No problem. Trouble was, at that moment, there were no jobs in counseling. None in the whole state. Like, well, I got to do something. I don't want to quit grad school. I don't want to drop out of school. Got to do something. Luckily, I knew how to set my intention, and I knew that intention is the key to everything. So I spent 20 minutes setting a true intention, and then I opened up the newspaper, and I just knew that Spirit would let my eyes go where it needed to go. I looked in the paper, and this one thing jumped out at me. Driving a bus in Park City for Sweetwater, so that every time I'd hand him one of those little tickets to go and hear a thing about condominiums or whatever, I would get $15. I ended up making more money from driving a bus in Park City than I would have at any counseling job back in the day. But the point is, my dream meant too much and I was willing to do whatever it took. That's how you know if you're willing to go beyond your scarcity issues. Okay. Pair up with a partner and share with your partner. Go. What you're noticing about what I said. Yeah. And I also so I can actually use to do what I don't want to be like that. And that's what it's supposed to do. I work really hard. People like me. Where it's like, and they should have it. But I can't figure it out. So I just listen to this. So every time you used to say, just go get a job, I would try that. And I learned it. And I think that there are people like that. The work that I'm doing in there. Squirt pedal. Yeah. I don't think that necessarily is and go waste my time. I think it's a balance. Yeah. I would you can certainly do what I do, but not necessarily just keep getting jobs and that which is all the Steve's is selling out. He gets scared at some point. I'm not willing to do that. What if you do that? You don't just take the job. I would start to feel like you don't just get the job. You have like literally have done. They want to get everything. So I want to start doing things because I can't take it. I'm finishing that. I didn't say really sweet. When he gets a job, he's all he can do anything. It's so interesting. It's like, yeah, don't threaten me with any out of it. Show me how to make this happen. Don't threaten me. You're telling me to make it happen. You'll make it that's why I'm struggling I don't want to be threatened. If I can't make the money, I'm actually taking the program so they can't make the money. Well, no, I mean, it's serious. So everybody's going to take your money and tell you that they're going to teach you how to make money. But then they threaten you, don't give them their money. And it's like, well, then give it, teach me how to do it. So again, for me, it's just I don't get frustrated. I'm tired of people telling me that they can tell me how to do it when all they're going to do is just take my money. I would have to say
teach me how to do it.
I don't
And I don't
think
think
this
that
was
threateningly is saying,
I mean,
I can teach you how to do it. Because if you can actually teach me how to do it, then you would be successful. I don't know. That's what I learned. I'm hoping he does. He says that, when he says, it's like, why should I have to wash dishes? I'm giving you money to teach me how to get out of my money. Go in and wash the dishes that you're teaching me how to get out of my money. And I'm giving you money to teach me how to get out of my money. That's what I am. Teach me how to get out of my money. That's why I'm giving you money.
okay, wrap it up.
Because I think that was the reservation.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
And I feel you and I hear you because I felt the same.
Is everybody aware of the fact that in your email is the quiz that I sent you?
Yes.
Did everybody look at the quiz?
The first 3 pages.
This is what the quiz looks like. Now there's a whole bunch of pages, but I'm just showing you the first page, what to do until we meet next. Right?
Right.
And I want to remind you, you've got an agreement to check your emails. So you want to look at this document thoroughly, because when we get back together in January, we're going to start the quiz. You're going to actually start memorizing the quiz. I'm going to let you know which 5 questions or so we're going to do each meeting, and you're going to memorize them, otherwise you're going to lose points and your team's going to hate you. And beat you with a wet noodle.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Gary.
I'm not bringing noodles, I'm only bringing cookies.
Elisa's like, you know I like it rough. Now, in there, in that quiz is questions number 20, 21, and 22, which are about money and on-time payments. We're going to probably start with those questions, so you want to memorize them over the holidays. Now, in your handouts, part 2 of the requirements was a document that said Financial Crunch Strategies. Does everybody remember this document, Financial Crunch Strategies? In part 2 of your requirements, the one that looks like this that you got over the weekend, you were supposed to initial the different things that you want. In there is this document, Financial Crunch Strategies. Because when Jesse's car breaks down,
Don't put that on.
Yeah.
Don't delete.
okay, if or when Jesse's car breaks down, she's going to call Gary up and say, Gary, my car broke down, but because I'm conscious of the Financial Crunch Strategies, you can count on me to do whatever it takes to make good on my payment, including the stuff that's on the Financial Crunch checklist. Like, get another job, borrow the money, ask someone to put it on their credit card. So she's going to do all those things before she calls me saying, can I postpone my payment a little? See what I'm saying? Like that. That's in the thing.
But nothing illegal.
Yes.
Except for Nikki, who likes to get blowjobs.
That's illegal in the state.
Isn't it illegal in some states?
You gotta go to Vegas, sister.
There's some pretty insane illegal.
Go to Wendover, it's only 90 minutes away. Okay.
my god.
Yeah, what about that? What if it's legal in another state here?
He said Nico.
Oh,
Well,
you
if my
said
husband
Nikki
would
actually.
pay, then
Yeah,
we
you,
can have
Gary,
that one.
You're definitely
Gary,
switching
you
to
met
Nico.
Nico.
But it's fine, I went with it.
Okay. Because if you'll
Nico can
remember,
too.
Nikki has a no pass on that kind of dialogue, remember?
But it didn't trigger me, so that's good.
Whoa, you've grown.
I know.
Awesome.
Do you want to hear what I said about it?
Yeah.
I said I suck at them.
Nikki's making me blush.
That's adorable. I love it.
Moving up in the world.
Right up the ladder.
In that quiz, the first statement is, what do we do until we meet? So, if you don't have that document with you, I'm going to go over what we're going to do until we meet. This is why doing Blast Off in December is an advantage. Okay? Be sure you have your contract turned in, your post-dated checks, and your $500 quit check. And your Movement to Mastery 2 requirements initial. That's this document. You're supposed to have them all initialed and turned in. Right?
Hey, Garrett, would you make sure everybody's actually paying attention, because you're going over stuff they're supposed to be agreeing to?
Yeah.
And I get that there's some people that aren't tuned in.
Okay, let me go through them one at a time.
Yeah.
Everybody who understands what I mean, raise your hand when I say it. Okay, hold on. Okay, make sure you have your contract turned in. Raise your hand if you understand.
And have it done.
Great. Good. Both sides sign. Bring your post-dated checks. Does everybody understand? Raise your hand. Good. Your undated quit check. $500 quit check. Good.
What's a quit check?
Quit.
A quit.
Oh, quit.
Quit check. Basically, if you quit the program or don't fulfill your requirement for assisting at the awakening, etc., then we cash your $500 quit check.
You have to turn back in your 3-ring.
Your free what?
Your 3-ring binder too.
Only if it starts
She's just
purple.
in it for the binder.
Nobody has to turn in their 3-ring binder except Nico.
I'm not quitting. I am not quitting.
Does everybody understand what I mean by making sure that you fill out and initialize and turn in the documents that are in the part 2 of the requirements? Raise your hand if you understand. I don't see Bonnie's hand up.
I don't agree with the term initialize.
Initialize?
Initial,
Initial.
not initialize.
Okay.
Initialize means
I don't
Initial.
agree with the way you
How
say
many
it.
of you are ecstatic with the fact that she corrected my English?
Yes.
Hey, Gary, I like
Yay, Bonnie, look at you.
It's because I love you.
Way to be 5.
Ruthless compassion.
That is adorable.
Maybe on you.
Okay, Bonnie, you're on my list.
She's got your number.
Now you're.
Keep it up, Bonnie.
Okay, quiet. If not already done, bring them to the next meeting and email all your excused absences for the next year ASAP to the logistics manager. Okay?
And that is
Emily.
I'm just saying I understand.
Raise your hand if you understand.
Who's the
Logistics
logistics
manager is
manager?
Seth.
And you're gonna carbon copy Michelle and Gary, and those are the email addresses. Write them down.
For what?
I can't see.
Did somebody say what?
What, they're gonna carbon copy what?
So, on the email, when you.
Courtesy copy.
Thank you, not carbon
Of
copy.
what?
When you email your excused absences for the year.
Oh.
So things that you are.
And your small, medium, and large consequences and rewards.
So if you check your Facebook, if somebody wants to take a picture of that and post it in that Facebook group, that would probably benefit everyone.
That would be great, do it.
Do we need to know Seth's number?
He's on Facebook.
But does anybody have his phone number?
Michelle, let's go ahead and put Seth's phone number up there. Now, between now and January, you're going to be experimenting with your plan of action and your phone buddy.
Can you say what you mean by experimenting?
You're going to be seeing how it works. How does your game plan work? Is it working? Is it too hard? Did you give yourself too much? Is it coming from critical parents instead of the child who wants to? You know what I mean? You're going to play with it and see how it's working. Is it going to get you where you want to go? Do you need to take smaller steps?
Can I add to this one?
Yeah.
Because I did it with the group today, and Zen said I should tell everybody. So this game plan is yours. So it's not for Gary, it's not for the club, it's not for anybody but you. So make it work for you in whatever way makes you feel great about your plan.
Yeah.
So you can revise at any time, and you can renegotiate with yourself so that you actually feel great. You want to start small and build successes forward. Also, about consequences and rewards.
Yeah.
Some people take consequences as punishments, so skip that if that's you, and just do rewards so that you don't put yourself in a position of resistance. Okay?
Question, Phil.
So, what is the official first start day of like real consequences?
It's whenever you want to start. Why?
So we're starting tonight, and some people are starting in January, and
I think we're just kind of lost. after
Some
last
people
time.
can start never.
I guess I was envisioning the January group and us being one, and we're all starting as one team.
Yeah, that's also true.
If that were true.
That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with when you want to start the game called No Exits. When do you want to start it?
Or
Tomorrow, next week, after
Or start
Christmas,
working your plan.
January. When do you want? When do you want to start a game called No Exits? It's up to you. It's your game.
4 days ago.
Do you want to start in June? You
So-
can. It's your game.
so officially, you just went through blast off. You started.
Yep.
People coming in January, that blast off, they start.
We got a head start, people. Good
Yeah,
job.
you
Good
rock
job.
and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's literally up to you. Okay. You're going to be studying the quiz. I already said that part. I sent you an optional handout called Keep Any Promise That You Make to Yourself about the guy who learned about getting in a cold shower. And, you know, that's a cute little document. And I also suggested, that, which is optional, that you read any book, or that you read the book called Influencer, or The Power to Change Anything, or Change Anything by Ron McMillan, Joseph Grenny, those guys. Patterson. It's in your email. Okay? And some of the highlights that were in Blastoff are actually in that email. The first 3 pages are all about the stuff we've been discussing in Blastoff Weekend. Now, there's an optional handout that I'm going to only email to those who request it. It's called Consequences and Rewards, Revolutionary Support, or Self-Imposed Torture.
I want it.
Now, if you want that, you need to email me and say, send me Consequences and Rewards, Revolutionary Support, or Self-Imposed Torture. If you get a chance to meet meet with each other over the holidays, it's a very strong suggestion. I'm going to offer you a couple of suggestions about that. When I was in Est, they did something called the Holiday Hospital Project. On Christmas Day, 200 or 300 of us gathered together in a big hotel, and a group had created projects in the city, like old folks' homes, the prison, different places in the city. And in small groups, we got together, and say a group of 8 or 10 of us would go to that old folks' home. Somebody had a guitar, and we, go down the hall and say hi to the older people, right? And it grabbed me that many of the people burst into tears that anybody was visiting them. We found out from the staff that some of these people hadn't had family visit them in close to a year. You know what I'm saying? One of the best Christmases of my life. Now, that's just a suggestion. If somebody wants to organize something special to happen on Christmas Day or the week of Christmas or something, Nikki?
I'd be open to that.
Okay.
I've already actually collected a bunch of stuff that I want to take out to the homeless people, and I felt like, I don't want to do this by myself, so that's actually perfect. You said that. It felt incomplete.
Beautiful. So just source it, organize it, invite them, let them come, let them bring friends, whatever. Okay? I also want to suggest that somebody create a social event with each other, some kind of a holiday party, so that you can all get together and have some more time together between now and January. Because it's kind of a while between now and the next meeting. Tricia?
I'd like to host at my house, so
Okay.
you guys help me pick a date, and I'd like to host a Christmas party at my home, and so next weekend, I'm thinking Saturday or Sunday next weekend. To have a Christmas party.
Yeah, thank you.
What?
Oh, what a second.
It's so crazy between now and Christmas. Would you consider between Christmas and New Year's?
Uh-huh. Whatever date you guys agree on.
That would be
So.
Do you want to organize it through the Facebook page that they've got?
You're invited to it already.
So put some tentative dates up and let everybody vote on the one, and then they'll all decide. Nikki?
Just for some ideas for the volunteer thing. Last year, a friend and I created a project, and we called it Purses with Purpose. And we collected gently used purses, and we just filled it up with like feminine needs, scarves, hats, gloves, all the feminine needs that homeless women don't get. And we ended up collecting like 75 purses, filled them all up, and then delivered them to the homeless women. So something on the lines of that, where there's things that they don't have that we either have and don't use, or maybe we could put them in some bags. And it's really quick, but they would appreciate it. They appreciate it far more. I had so many people crying, and
I think that's a better idea than bags of clothes and donated stuff, because if they're homeless, what home are they going to take all these bags and stuff to?
Yeah.
A purse, they can sling it over their shoulder.
There's something powerful in it for women. I think that's very.
And you can
like,
bring
feminine
them
for men.
jackets and blankets,
Yeah.
Who are you doing that with?
Huh?
Who are you doing that with?
I did that last year with a friend, just me and her. But I was wanting to do something similar this year, if you guys are open to joining. Cool.
Is there a hub, a place that we can take it to? Like a...
I called last year, and a lot of people, there's regulations, so I just went to the parks and felt their energy and asked if they were open to receiving a gift.
And it
was beautiful.
Taken on?
Huh?
People just took it on and just used it?
Oh, they loved it.
Really?
They were so grateful.
Okay.
Nikki, can you get a paper started so people can sign up to join you on that?
That's a great idea. Thank you.
I'm going to call it a night. And do me a big favor on the way out. Please acknowledge at least 2 people before you leave. If nobody's acknowledging you, that you're cue to go acknowledge somebody. Have a great holiday. Huh?
Applebee's?
Oh, we're gonna go to Applebee's, Lori and I. Raise your hand if you wanna join us.
Yeah,